everyone, I hope you are having a good day. We are psychology students from Laguna State Polytechnic University, and today we will discuss the scientific method. But first, let's define it. The scientific method involves different steps for analyzing and answering a research subject. It is important because it allows the researchers to conduct an organized set of procedures that will help them gather more data and produce a reliable and accurate study. Here are the steps in the scientific method. First, making an observation and gathering knowledge about a phenomenon. Second, formulation of hypothesis. Third, testing of hypothesis. Fourth, experimentation. And lastly, drawing of conclusion. Making an observation and gathering knowledge are the initial steps in the scientific method, which is how a study to learn more about the world begins. A situation will be observed and measured by the researchers, which helps them to outline the objectives. For instance, you may have noticed that during lunchtime at LSPU Santa Cruz, more students prefer to eat at Restaurant A than Restaurant B, even though both have the same menu. Here is you will start to compile data from your observation and explore all of the factors that affect the student's decision in choosing a restaurant to eat. Then, you'll proceed to formulate a hypothesis.
The second phase in the scientific process is to formulate a hypothesis, which entails coming up with a possible answer to a particular collection of data. It also requires the use of theory. In our example about LSPU Santa Cruz students like Restaurant A over Restaurant B when it comes to eating during lunch, even though both restaurants serve the same items. You have observed that the two restaurants have different ambiances, so the students may choose Restaurant A. Following that, your hypothesis would be LSPU Santa Cruz students favor dining at Restaurant A because of its cozy environment. In testing the hypothesis, a researcher must be careful to come up with a reliable and valid explanation of the observed phenomena. In the case of what restaurant LSPU Santa Cruz students prefer to dine, there are a lot of factors that must be taken into account. Here is where the testing of hypothesis comes in. To have fair and constant results, you can test your hypothesis through survey sampling, where you will get 300 students that are eating outside the school as the sample from the population to answer your survey.
Having our hypothesis, we are now moving on to one of the most important steps in the scientific method, the experimentation, because it can dictate the answer of the problem. You should be careful and mindful at this step because it has a big impact on the whole study, especially in the result. We all know that through experimentation, people can test the variables from the hypothesis and give the outcome. In the case of our example, your sample size is 300 students. You will provide them with a survey questionnaire that focuses on the variables that influence their decision over which restaurant to eat during lunch. They will respond to the questionnaire by rating their overall satisfaction on a scale of 1 to 5, based on their personal experience. After getting the raw data from the survey, you will perform a statistical treatment to get the accurate result. This will help you to interpret the data you gathered, and you can now proceed to the next step, which is drawing of conclusion.
Now, we have entered the final step of the scientific method, which is drawing conclusions. This is where the results of the experiment will be interpreted in order to determine whether or not the formulated hypothesis will be accepted. Graphics can be used to present the data and show that it is accurate. In terms of the problem that was given in the first step, you can now analyze the results from the statistical treatment you perform in the experimentation. If the results show that there is a significant relationship between the student's decision to choose and the characteristic of the restaurant, you will accept the hypothesis you proposed, which was LSPU Santa Cruz students favor dining at the restaurant because of its cozy environment. However, you can also decide whether you want to go back to the previous steps to change the hypothesis or the design of your testing if you are not satisfied with the result. If the results show that there is no significant relationship between the student's decision and the restaurant's characteristics, you will reject the hypothesis. It is crucial to examine all the details because your conclusion will be the final result of your study. Once all the supporting study, hypothesis, and testing are accurate, you can now publish it. If your findings are reliable and solid, other researchers can replicate your study to improve it further and find additional testing. And now that you know how to use the scientific method, the experiments or study you want to conduct will be more accurate and reliable. Your understanding of data collection and observation of the environment, behavior, or other phenomena will be broadened. Viewers will learn how and where else you should improve your research or study in terms of using the scientific method based on what you have learned in this video. We are hoping that this program will guide many students in expanding their understanding of this subject matter.